If you're looking to get healthier in the new year, watch this entire video. I'm gonna share 5 of my favorite healthy food swaps. Hey guys, today's video is an updated version on healthy food swap because I thought it would be perfect going into the new year. We've got our New Year's resolutions, and I know it's super common to want to get healthier, get more fit in the new year, so I thought this would be really appropriate. I've done some of these before and you guys really like them, so I thought I would share 5 of my healthiest food swaps and just give a little explanation as to why you should switch out for a healthier option. I think understanding always makes it way easier to remember, and it kind of engraves in your brain instead of just like thinking one's bad and one's good. So I'm going to give you a little explanation to each, and I'm super excited for these food swaps because all of the healthier versions are so good and literally lack nothing when it comes to flavor, taste, like texture. So the only thing you're going to be getting is the healthier option. So all of the food here that I'm going to share, I did get from Thrive Market. I talk about Thrive Market a lot. I love them. It's so easy to order all of your favorite superfoods, snacks, everything on there. You can get it delivered right to your door. I love anything delivery. It just makes my life much easier. I also like that on Thrive Market, you can go and search by your diet type. So if you want to search vegan, if you want to search gluten-free, you can totally categorize everything and then like save your favorites and just have your favorite things ready to go. The way it works, if you guys want to try it, is they have 1 3-month or year-long memberships. You can pick whichever one and you can always cancel at any time. So I will link that below if you guys want to check it out. So let's start with popcorn because popcorn is everyone's favorite food. I really wanted to share this one because this is just such an easy swap and it's actually so important. And one thing I want to bring up, loud crunch. One thing I want to bring up before I share this one is a lot of these food swaps are not necessarily based on calories, numbers. Hold on, sorry guys. It's a little messy. Okay, got it under control. You'll notice in a lot of these food swaps, it's not just that one has less calories, one has like less fat. Like I say this all the time. It's really on the quality of the food and like what you're putting in your body. We don't want to pollute our body because the less like well it's functioning, the more we're polluting it, the more toxic it is, the worse it's going to be able to function for us. So we want to make sure it's healthy, clean, and that way we can keep extra weight off when, if and when that is an issue. So first I want to talk about popcorn. There's a few things. This brand I really, really love. It's called Lesser Evil, but they've got so many different like flavors. You can always tell by the little Buddha. That's like the little character on it. It is really accessible to almost everyone. I've seen it at so many different grocery stores. Again, you can get it on Thrive Market or online. But the reason I like it is number one, it's dairy free. So this one, it says no cheesiness. So always make sure when you see on labels like this, even if it says cheesy, if you look to make sure like the other print, it's not actually dairy on here. So I like that there's no dairy. Number 2, it's non-GMO. So one thing about GMO foods, I know sometimes this is a bit of a controversy, but corn is one thing you really have to watch out for. And a lot of the times it does contain GMOs. So popcorn should always be non-GMO. Now, if you're getting just like a standard brand, for the most part, it's not going to be non-GMO. It is going to have dairy. It's probably going to have a lot of added natural flavors and a lot of other junk that you just don't need. It is a really easy swap. And this brand here also has a bunch of different flavors. Like this one is like a cheesy flavor. And I kind of wanted to compare the two because I think a big part in making like healthy swaps is not going super drastic. I wouldn't tell someone to go from like eating French fries to carrot sticks. Like, of course, it's going to be a really drastic change and something that's not going to be sustainable. So I like to go step by step. So swapping out like a white cheddar for a vegan cheesy one that's still organic and non-GMO is amazing. If you want one of these that doesn't have the added vegan flavorings of like fake cheese, you can also get one that's just coconut oil. The coconut oil one's absolutely amazing. I love it. I actually always have that one in my house. One of my favorite things to do is add nutritional yeast. It's got the best flavor and it kind of gives a little bit of cheesiness. So you can do that to your popcorn too. Okay, let's move on to crackers. So I wanted to share a little cracker alternative here. So we will see some similarities throughout these swaps because the basics of food are always going to stay the same. It's not like it gets that complicated. You kind of always come down to the basics. Where we can cut out dairy, especially in snacks, we always try to. But one other thing I really want to talk about is cutting out gluten. So let's talk about this. I just tried to pick like kind of a family favorite, like, regular cracker. This is golden butter. So it's got unbleached enriched wheat flour. It's got wheat, it's got milk. So swapping out a cracker like this for something like this is so easy because this brand is honestly so delicious. You would never know. This one is flavored rosemary and sea salt. They've got like a tomato basil one. They have a bunch of different kinds. The brand name is called Simple Mills. What I love about this is that it's also grain-free. So I don't think that everyone needs to eat grain-free. I include a good amount of grains in my diet and I really like them. However, grains can cause inflammation. So that's just kind of a fact. It doesn't mean that it's a horrible amount. There's a lot of healthy foods that can cause inflammation as a bit of a byproduct. So my kind of rule and thesis when it comes to things like that is where you can easily cut it out, where you won't notice a difference at all, like you might as well. You would never know that these are like grain-free or taste any different than any crackers. There are some crackers that taste like just seeds or taste a little bit like cardboard that are grain-free. So there's definitely places where you will notice it. There's certain breads that are grain-free that definitely you can tell a difference in the texture. So, I don't think you have to totally alter that. You can definitely just get like a good, like sprouted, healthier bread and still have grains in it. But when it comes to this, you really won't know the difference. So this is a cool grain-free option. It's also vegan. It's dairy-free. It's a really clean one. I think in terms of crackers, if you're going to make the switch, definitely try this. Even for kids too, I swear they will not know the difference. If you don't tell them the brand, it's a super easy swap. Crackers are also a really great swap for any kind of chips in general. So if you find yourself just liking chips for like the crunch, a lot of times you just want something to crunch on, especially if you put potato chips in your sandwich, which I used to do. When I was a kid, I would do white bread, turkey, cheese, and potato chips, which I just have to share because I feel like people would never think that that's something I would eat now that I don't eat like meat. I don't eat dairy. I only eat like sprouted bread, but it's okay. Like we all learn. And it's just, if I knew like the easy swaps I could have done, I could have made it a lot healthier. So definitely try this one, this flavor, and also check out the tomato basil. Okay, now let's move on to granola and cereal because I actually love this little food swap comparison because it's not the most common. And I feel like this is one of those things that could really trick you. It's funny because packaging is so important. It can really trick the consumer. Like the font on this, like it looks very like healthy and clean. I feel like if you saw it, I would definitely think it was a really healthy one. And it's not the worst thing, but there are way better alternatives. So cereal in general is just very processed. I know I use that word a lot, but that's really one of the key things I think you should focus on if you're trying to get healthy, lose a little bit of extra weight. It's not about cutting out calories. It's not about depriving yourself. Just go more to the whole version of the food. So, if you're going for granola, those are all whole foods. Like maybe it's a little seed, maybe it's a little coconut, maybe it's a little bit of oats, like anything that's just in its natural form, you're going to digest better and you're just going to be healthier overall. So if you look at these side by side, they might look pretty similar. And to be honest, I prefer the taste of this one. It's delicious. But this one in the ingredients is whole grain wheat. So it's got gluten, cane sugar, cocoa. And remember, cocoa is just a processed version of cacao. So it's usually sweetened. It's more processed. So all the amazing benefits of cacao, like all the antioxidants, skin benefits, all of it, you're not going to get because it's processed down. So it's got cocoa, cane syrup. So it's got cane sugar and cane syrup, chocolate extract, and cinnamon. I do like that it has cinnamon, so we'll give them that. But then in this one, where are the ingredients? We've got sprouted buckwheat groats, dates. So still have a sugar form, but just in its natural form. So you've got dates that are going to give it a little bit of sweetness, but you're also getting a lot of great minerals from the dates. So dates, sprouted sunflower seeds, sprouted sesame seeds, coconut, hemp seed, cacao, vanilla extract, and sea salt. So not only is everything in this one sprouted, which really helps you digest it. Sprouting is basically just the process of soaking it in water. If you really want to sprout, sometimes people will do it over days, but even just soaking it in water a little bit overnight, whether it's nuts or seeds, will really help you break it's basically pre-digesting them. So you're going to get more out of like a lot of nuts and seeds that you eat. But sometimes you want something right away and you don't have time to soak it in water. That's just life. So I like finding products that already have it pre-soaked. It's got some protein from the hemp seeds. It's got the cacao, which is so good for you. A little bit of sea salt. The sugar in here is 8 grams. Let's compare it to this one. Actually, so sugar in here is 9 grams and this one is 8 grams. And this is a perfect example of why numbers kind of lie. You can't just look at the numbers and assume that that's going to tell you. Like if you just looked at the back, you could be like, oh, they're the same. So the best way to do this and learn this on your own is just to look at the ingredients and think like, oh, that's an actual food, not like what is like unbleached wheat flour like on the other one, or what is like, when you think about it that way and you're like, where did that come from? Then it's easier to understand. This one's really, really good. I love having this with like almond milk, coconut milk. You can even sprinkle it on a little bit of oatmeal. You can just put it in like a little baggie and eat it as granola, but it's a really good one. So this is a really important one I want to share, and I actually learned a little more about this recently, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. So coffee is one thing that we should all really be drinking organic, but a lot of us aren't, especially, I mean, when you go out and get coffee. And I totally realize that this isn't always realistic. Like if you are at the airport and you want to grab a coffee, like, you know, we have to still live our lives and not be that worried about it. But my whole thing is whatever you can control at home, always do the best you can, because at least you can do that. Like as much as you can, like 1 is better than 0, a little bit's better than nothing. So at home, really try to drink organic coffee. One of the reasons that coffee should be organic is because of all crops, it's actually one of the most pesticide sprayed crops of all of them. It's a little hard to say, but it is really high in pesticides. So some foods are higher than others, which is why there's often a lot of lists of like dirty dozen fruits where like, you know, always make sure you get like produce organic. But if you're going to buy like rice, maybe it's not quite as important. It's just a random example. But coffee is really highly sprayed with pesticides. So organic is super important because we can't always control getting it organic at coffee shops, like especially if you're at the airport and you want to grab a coffee, or, you know, if you're like walking down the street and grab something, you still have to live your life and not over stress these things. But where you can control it at home, I think it's super important, because let's say every morning you make your morning cup of coffee, at least you know you're eating and like drinking the healthiest you can, and a little bit's always better than nothing. So even if you're doing your best at home, but then, you know, you do the best you can with your whatever situation you're in outside, then that's still better. So that's what I like. And most coffee is not organic, by the way. This brand that I found is Equal Exchange. It's organic, and I also like that it's fair trade. So it supports small farmers, it supports fair trade practices. On top of having resolutions of being better to ourselves, we should be better to the environment that we live in, and the karma that you put out will be the karma that you get back to yourself. So try this brand, check it out. It actually smells so incredible. I wish I had like an OG coffee machine here. I need to buy a new coffee machine. Actually, if you guys have any recommendations, leave it below, because I've been looking for one that can do espresso or coffee. So leave your recs below. And then we'll get to the last one. So I talk about cacao a lot because I love cacao, but this is a fun little swap of cacao nibs for sprinkles. So this is also great for kids or adults if you like sprinkles. One thing I wanted to share is cacao on its own, like cacao powder. Obviously it's got a little bit of like a bitter taste, but if you add a little bit of sweetener to it, it will become sweet, because cacao is literally what chocolate comes from. The only reason chocolate is sweet is because we add sugar. So if you add cacao and banana into a blender, it's going to taste chocolatey because that's your source of sugar. So that's why I like starting with cacao and then sweetening it, because you can control the way you're making it sweet versus buying it in a chocolate bar or something that's just cocoa, where it's usually just like cane sugar or processed like syrups, or who knows what they're using. Everyone uses different ones. This is chocolate sprinkles, so it's sugar, vegetable oil, palm kernel, cornstarch, cocoa with alkali confectioner's glaze, natural and artificial flavors, soy lecithin, carnauba wax. So there's a lot going into these sprinkles, and I feel like sprinkles don't really taste like anything. I mean, I used to get ice cream with sprinkles, like ice cream cones when I was a kid, and sometimes I'd get rainbow, sometimes I'd get chocolate, but I swear they don't taste any different. They just kind of look different, especially when you're adding it onto a food. So adding cacao nibs can be such a good alternative. Not only does it give you that little crunch and it looks like chocolate, but it's so good for you. It's great for your heart, great for your skin. Now, they can taste a little bit bitter on their own, but one little trick you can do is just toasting them, like either on the stove or like in a pot. Toast them for like 5 minutes. It'll even kind of start to smell when they're cooking. It smells really nice. And this trick is really good for getting some of that bitterness out, and then it will just have the sweetness. And then if you throw these onto an ice cream, it just give you a little bit of crunch. I like to put them in a mint chocolate chip smoothie. And I'll basically do fresh mint, banana, almond milk, cacao nibs, and a little bit of maybe peanut butter, and it tastes like a mint chocolate chip ice cream. So you guys should try that recipe too. So I hope you enjoyed these food swaps, these 5 really quick, easy food swaps. I will definitely link all the specific brands below so you can direct go to those. And I'll also put my link for Thrive Market if you guys want to try that. Another reason I like Thrive Market is because their prices are literally up to like 25 to 50% lower than traditional retail prices. So if you want to find some of these same exact brands at like Whole Foods or any other health food store, oftentimes they can be 25 to 50% more than what Thrive Market offers them for. So it's kind of a win-win, and you can get it delivered super easily. So I'll put my links to everything below. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.